Well, I'm back in the hotel room, beginning of my 2 week hitch back in the wool field. But while I'm gone this time, I decided to bring my 10mm along with me, along with some various ammo. I got my chronograph and I got some ballistics gel. I'm just going to run the ammo that you see in front of me through it and just kind of see what it does. I'll run one shot through the chronograph just to get a baseline of where it's at compared to what is advertised on the box. I'm not going to shoot a bunch of ammo and try to get an average because I'm doing this for hunting, so the average for hunting really doesn't matter. The one shot that you take on an animal is the only one that really matters, and that's what I want to see. I've got the ammo lined up in order, just guessing on which one is going from least to most of which one's going to produce the most energy, not necessarily the fastest, although that's going to play a part in it. Got the PMC Bronze, 170 grain jacketed hollow point, advertised velocity 1200 feet per second. The Hornady custom 10mm 180 grain XTP, and at the muzzle it's showing 1180. I've got some 200 grain SIG V crowns, and they're advertised at 1060 feet a second, and they claim 499 foot-pounds of energy on the box. Then I've got two other SIG 180 grain V crowns. I don't know if there's any difference between them or not. It doesn't look like there's any difference on them, but the boxes are different. So I just kind of wanted to see if there is a difference, but they're both showing to be 1250 feet a second and 624 pounds of energy. Then I've got some Colt defense ammunition. It's 180 grain jacketed hollow points, and this Colt ammunition is actually loaded by double tap. So double tap, Underwood and buffalo bore are your magnum loads for 10 mil, or your nuclear loads for 10 mil. Supposed to be anyways, so we'll see if the name Colt drops it down any. And then at the very end I've got some Underwood 180 grain jacketed hollow points, and it's advertised 1250 feet per second on those. Like I said, I've got these lined up in order of what I think is going to be the least amount of foot-pounds of energy and the most foot-pounds of energy. I'm just kind of curious to see what they actually do going through it. We're going to be using the EAA Witness Hunter 10mm. Has a 6-inch match grade barrel. I really love this gun. It is a good shooting gun. It just feels good in the hand. I started off with a Glock 20, and I liked it a lot, and I carried it quite a bit actually, but I wanted more out of it for hunting. I really wanted a long barrel, longer slide, and then they introduced the Glock 40 and the 40 MOS. And originally I wanted to put an optic on whatever gun I used, but this one shot so well that I just decided to go without an optic on it. It is just phenomenal. Shoe bug. And I ended up selling my Glock 20 because, like I said, I wanted a longer barrel, wanted a longer slide. And whenever I started looking at everything I'd have to do to a Glock to be happy with it, I just figured I'd be better off just getting this. The single action trigger on it is phenomenal. I don't have my trigger pull gauge with me, otherwise I would test it. I believe it's right around 3 pounds, but there's zero creep, no take up whatsoever. It just breaks like glass. The whole gun is just smooth as butter. And I was able to buy some mag extensions for it. So it turns your stock 14 round mag into a 19 round mag, so you're able to carry 20 rounds of hate with you wherever you go. And as you can see, I've actually got the 180 grain V crowns loaded up in here. That's what I carry, is the 180 grain V crowns. Anyways, as soon as I get a chance to get to the range, I've got some ballistics gel. I've got 3 blocks with me. I'm just going to line 2 of them up. I'm not going to line all 3 of them up, but I will take my 3rd block, and I'll line it up on the sides to try to make sure that nothing deviates through, or I might stick it up top, try to make sure that nothing deviates and we can catch all the bullets. Try to see which one penetrates the most, how expansion looks on all of them, and try to get a chronograph reading for at least a couple rounds. So bear with me. As soon as I get to the range, we'll get it done. Getting everything ready to go to the range, I did find a difference between these two different boxes of ammo. They're both loaded with the 180 grain V-Crown, but the one on the left is just regular brass casing. The one on the right is nickel plated. When we get out there, we'll see if there's any other differences. Alright, we'll start with the chronograph readings. We're going to start off with the PMC 170 grain hollow points. 1153. Next is the Hornady ammunition loaded up with 180 grain XTP. 1226. Next is the Sig Sauer 200 grain V-Crown. 1090. Next is the 180 grain Sig Sauer V-Crown. This one is the brass case one. That was significantly more powerful than the rest of them. Next is the nickel plated 180 grain V-Crown. That one felt a little weaker, and it's showing a little weaker. It's reading 1264. Next is the Colt defense ammunition, which is loaded up by double tap, 180 grain hollow point. $11.92. And next is the 180 grain loaded by Underwood. $12.58. Now we'll move on to the ballistics gel. I apologize for the wind here in Oklahoma. It wouldn't be so windy. It wouldn't be so windy if Texas didn't suck and Kansas didn't blow so bad. First up is the PMC 170 grain. Let's see where that one hit real quick. Try not to double stack this anywhere. Next is the Hornady 180 grain. I'm going to have to change my angle just a little bit. Well, I'm going to have to change the camera over a little bit too. Bear with me. Hornady 180 grain. Sig 180 grain brass cased V-Crown. Sig 180 grain nickel plated V-Crown. Colt defense 180 grain loaded by Underwood. Sorry, double tap. Loaded by Underwood. Okay, see if you can see it right here. Stopped right at 16 inches in the gel. This is the Hornady ammo right here. Right at 16 inches with it. The PMC, the 170 grain, it also stopped right at 16 inches. It looks like I'll have to reshoot an Underwood. Sick, 200 grain. So I'll show you the wound channel on this one and how much penetration it got. It's got a pretty good wound channel going all the way through, and it stopped right at 17 inches. Very, very good deformation on that bullet. 180 grain bead round, brass paste. The bullet just popped out of the gel, and it's landing on top of the gel. Let me show that to y'all. So y'all can see what I see as I walk up. I wonder if they caught it on camera. So there's the bullet. You know what? That's probably not the bullet. That's cold. That probably... Where did that come from? Oh, I guess that was a bullet I just had sitting on the table. I'm an idiot. So the 200 grain V-Crown left a very good wound channel here on bottom, but it stopped right around, probably 14 and a half inches. 14, probably about 14 inches. It's about 2 inches shorter than the block, 16-inch block. But as you can see, it had very good deformation as well, along with the 180 grain. 200 grain, sorry. Bottom one's 180. This top one, sorry, this one's 180, and that one was the 200. Alright, next is the SIG 180 grain V-Crown with the nickel plated casing. Last up is the 180 grain XTP loaded up by Underwood. So I shot this Underwood bullet right here, just above the Colt, and it had a really good wound channel, and it also experienced some jacket shedding. You can see where it pedaled off, but the wound channel does look really good. It tapers off right around a little over halfway through the gel, and my other gel block here is not very clear at all, but it stopped about 2 inches or so into it. maybe about 1.5 inches. So about 17.5 inches of penetration with it. Since my video footage before got corrupted, I just wanted to show you that this track right through here, that is the Colt ammunition that only penetrated a little over halfway through the block. And the track that goes on the outside right here is that Underwood 180 grain loaded with XTP. I'm going to pull some of these bullets out real quick of the gel and kind of show you just what they look like. You can see on this one here, there's another Underwood 180 grain. I believe that one is I believe that's the other Colt round right there. It looks like it made it a little bit further than the other one did. You can kind of see it right there also from the top. Give me a second, I'm going to get some of these cut out. In no particular order of how I pulled them out or performance or anything, I'm just going to show you what these bullets look like when I pulled them from the gel. This is the Hornady with a 180 grain XTP. Had good deformation to it. Actually, all of these had good deformation. Some of them just lost a little bit more jacket than what I would have liked to have seen, but really overall, they all held up fairly well. The Colt is probably the most ununiform expansion, and it also stopped the shortest in the gel. It only made it a little over halfway through the 16-inch blocks. $170 grain PMC Bronze. Underwood 180 grain XTP. The 200 grain SIG V Crown. These things did really, really well. If we're being honest, all of these would kill a deer, no questions asked. The only one that I would say that I'm absolutely not going to take, though, is that Colt defense ammunition, just because of how weak the penetration was on it. This is the brass cased, or 180 grain V Crown from SIG, and it's about perfect. Then right here is the 180 grain V Crown with the nickel plated case.